You are the cap for whatever goes on in your store, in your company, in your district, in your household. However excited you are, what you believe is possible, whatever that threshold is. Good afternoon, team. Jim Cripps here with the Charge Forward podcast, coming to you from Hit Lab Studios here in Nashville, Tennessee. I have a special treat for you today, and that is Mr. Chris Neville. He is a sales leader, he's a family man, and now an entrepreneur here in Nashville, Tennessee. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jim. I appreciate you. Thank you for the time, and I'm honored to be here.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So, give me a little bit of your background. You've been in the corporate sales side for a long time.
Yes, sir. About 12 years now. Yes, sir. About 12 years now.
And how's that look? What do you do?
So currently, I work for DirecTV. I'm a senior account manager. I manage all of our indirect sales and distribution channels. So all of our partners that are authorized to sell DirecTV within their business. So
and from what I understand, you crush your numbers.
Yeah. For sure.
All the time.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, as an individual contributor and as a sales leader and developing and mentoring teams, So one thing I've been able to do successfully is obviously continuously win. So there's lots to go into that, but yeah, definitely for sure.
That's awesome. And what do you like best about that? I mean, what keeps you going? Because keeping that fire alive for some people, that's their hardest part of their job. But man, every time I talk to you, you're so excited, you're so fired up about whatever it is, whether we're talking about the kids' sports. We'll introduce them here in a few minutes, and then a lot of times it's your business at FlyRoute, and at the same time, man, you don't ever lose any steam over in the corporate world.
No, I mean, to answer that directly, I think that the number one reason for my drive is my passion, right? I have, obviously family to provide for, right? A career to develop, and a life and a legacy to leave for my family, for my kids, and I want to make the biggest impact I can for any people, any person in my network that I'm able to, have an impact on.
Yeah. And so how many people do you, let's just say, that you lead or you work with on a daily basis?
In my current role, I manage it fluctuates between 95 to 105 different entrepreneurial-based businesses that are associated with DirecTV.
Okay, so these are almost like franchises?
Basically, they're authorized partners. So in the indirect space, they can be authorized with 7, 8, 10, 2 different corporate enterprises, right, to sell a wide variety of video products, internet broadband products, security products, cameras, audio, video, stuff like that. So DirecTV is an intricate part of that process. So it's sometimes it's their lead vertical, or sometimes it's in an
ancillary business.
Yeah, basically, to where they lead with this broadband in this market, and they're all their sales strategies towards that, and then they accompany it with video or DirecTV for home video service.
Okay, and how long have you been in that business?
This role, I've been at DirecTV for 3 years in February.
Okay.
So, and then previously to that, I was at AT&T for 9 years.
Okay, so pre-pandemic, you were at AT&T, and then post-pandemic, here on the direct side.
Correct. A little bit post-pandemic with AT&T. I started my career at AT&T as a technician, so I was installing internet and phone and crawling in attics and crawl spaces and things like that, and doing some of the craziest things, sometimes almost unspeakable things to get service working and things like that. But started there, and then throughout life adversity was able to transition into sales. That's kind of what's really trajected my life in the sales role, is just life adversity and moving forward in life, or as life has progressively changed throughout the years, that I found a role with sales when AT&T rolled out a new product or a new department, new channel, and I saw these guys in the field basically door to door, or like client acquisition door to door, and I was like, I can do that. I have the highest customer service satisfaction roles in, installing services. So then I was like, I can do that. And then had to kind of earn my way, improve my way into that sales role. And then it's kind of been the sky's the limit since there.
I've had some experience with leading some teams that were in that door-to-door business. Man, that's a tough gig.
It is.
You got to have the right personality. You got to have that. I will say this. I had I would say a sales mentor that was along my way not too many years ago, and he was from Utah, which a lot of door-to-doors are, and he said that a lot of people see it as a sales cycle or sales process, and he said it's a sales circle. And his mentality was, if you say no, it's because I haven't explained it well enough for you to know to say yes.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more.
And I don't know why that seems so just groundbreaking, but he goes, if I haven't explained it properly, then you don't have enough knowledge to know that you should say yes.
Either enough knowledge and or enough connection, right, or common ground to figure out how it relates to that said customer, right, or that presentation or situation at hand.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Now, you got an extensive sports background too, don't you? I think that kind of led to the entrepreneurial side.
It does.
So walk me through like what you did in high school, college, all those things.
Yeah. So growing up in Lebanon, Tennessee, small suburb outside, east side of Nashville. Played high school football at a school called Wilson Central High School. It's a unique story because that's kind of what put me through where I'm at now. Is when I was in high school, or back in 2001, Mount Juliet and Lebanon were growing cities, right? And then whoever makes the decisions to do that at the time, I don't know who it is, but they decided, hey, we need to add an expansion school. So that was literally in centralized Wilson County, right? That's why the name's Wilson Central.
Right.
At least that's what I think it is. But anyway. So kind of going through that background, right, is that there's a new school, it's an expansion school. So half of it's Mount Juliet, half of it's Lebanon that were zoned. Now they're rezoned here. So I contribute a lot of my life to my high school and college years of sports, specifically being Wilson Central was brand new. We had no tradition. We had no standards. We had nothing. There was no leadership to look up to. It was all green from scratch. So first year school was open, I'm pretty sure, 99% sure they didn't win a game. Second year, I think us as a freshman class back then, we kind of figured out, hey, for this to work, we got to figure out how to build a team, how to create a culture. And I think, guys like myself and a couple other guys were able to kind of ascend to that leadership role to where, hey, we got to lead by example, and we got to be hard-nosed, we got to be determined, and we got to develop that grit, right? So we were fortunate enough to be successful as freshmen, and then all the way through high school, we did great, and had the best school record for a long time there until about 3 years later or so. But that kind of dedication is really what I put into the foundation of who I am today, sitting in this seat, because there's one inspirational leader, my high school coach at the time, has set some things in my mind that I've lived by my whole life, and I was fortunate enough to be able to get athletic and academic scholarship to continue my, football career there. And, so that's kind of sports-wise. And I grew up playing youth sports too. Okay. Started sports when I was 10. I wish I started earlier, but, that's really the sports background.
And you played in college too, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Where'd you play?
Played at Cumberland University. It's in Lebanon. At the time it was an NAIA school, Mid-South Conference school. So it's a big deal in a small town, really. We were actually fortunate, kind of moving down the line of athletics was we were fortunate, that back in 2007, 2 or 3 years progressing up to it, right? And in 2007, we actually were fortunate to win a conference championship back in the day. So
okay.
My season was short. I only played 4 games that year, which is kind of what led me to the next stage of my life because I had a season-ending injury. I shattered my clavicle in about 9 pieces. So to this day, I got an 8-inch plate with like 6 screws in there. So
ouch.
It's definitely tough. So that kind of transitioned to the next portion of my life. And sports have been a huge, huge foundation for me.
Okay. And then you were part of some programs after that, right?
So that's the next step of my life in athletics was from the rehabilitation state, from learning how to, physically put a bone back together, right? And then go through the athletic training portion of the rehab process. And then the strength and conditioning side is where actually I found kind of my passion in life at that time, where it was just that constant adversity, constant progression, and that, like I said, falling back to the grit portion of how, we built that structure or those foundational pillars of my life, was able to figure out a way to completely involve myself in that process and came back bigger, better, faster, and stronger than I was before. And then that led to transferring to Middle Tennessee State University in Murfreesboro and changing my major to health and human performance and kinesiology.
Okay.
And like minoring basically, or interning in strength and conditioning. So
Yeah.
that led to internship at Vanderbilt University with football, and got some baseball experience in there a little bit, just kind of being around and a fly on the wall. Wasn't any official capacity, but was there for about 11 months. And time back to high school, that's a lot of leaders that were there, and a lot of experience that I saw through theirs, or through that journey, was able to kind of help build that. And then the last portion of my athletic career was I was able to, due to a coaching change, you know how football works, when coaches change and most of the staff changes too. And then I was able to, once that change happened, I was able to get a role at Eastern Illinois University as a graduate assistant to be a strength and conditioning coach full-time, and then go to school full-time. So.
Okay. And then, so was it post-school that you came back down here?
Yep. So after I finished with my master's degree in Charleston, Illinois, at Eastern Illinois, I was able to come back to Nashville. Life was progressing in different ways, and I didn't that the strength and conditioning role at a Division I level can be, I call it nomadic or relocatable. You got to be pretty fluid and easy to relocate real quick. And I didn't really, at the time, I didn't understand the value in that, so I came back home. I was in the more of the consultative, professional type strength and conditioning role for a while, and then life kind of changed, and I had to figure out a different way to provide for the family. So
yeah, well, I think throughout your whole career, and I really do think that this is one of the keys to whether people are successful long term or not,
100%.
Is their adaptability.
Absolutely.
And so, what does adaptability mean to you?
That's probably my entire mantra, to be honest. I mean, from being athletic, strength and conditioning, to then, obviously deciding and determining how and why I want to start a family, get married and have kids and things like that. So it's definitely got to be adaptable. And what that means is just being confident in yourself and having the courage to stand up and say, you know what, I may not know how to do that, but I'm going to figure out how to do it. And there's kind of no other option. There's no failure in that. And you just got to be resilient and have that grit and figure it out.
Yeah, you're not going to stop me. And if you think you will, good luck.
Exactly, and you can't. And that's the thing. It's just, it has to be that way.
Yeah.
Because I think that's, an important portion of being a father and a husband as well.
Yeah.
So.
And you coaching to some degree in youth sports too, right?
Yeah, still coaching Little League or youth baseball, and actually just started, my first fall season of softball with 6-year-old girls, which is a little hectic, but it's kind of a reality check, right? As you progress, I've been either involved or trying to help, and then leading some teams, right, over time through my son's baseball career thus far. You get to this 12U or this 11U portion, and you're like, hey, you've developed all these strategies on how to help these kids and try to make it make sense, and then to rewind real quick to back to 6 is definitely difficult. But you got to adapt, and that's just kind of how it is. You got to make it happen.
Well, and it goes back to your ability to adapt and connect.
For sure.
And, that's really the biggest thing that we're doing with youth sports at that age is trying to instill some confidence that they can do this, that they can come up here, they can connect with the ball. And if they don't, it's not the end of the world.
Right. Absolutely.
And, I still think that there's a lot of parents out there that have kind of sabotaged a significant portion of the population in that they've never allowed them to fail.
Yeah.
And so, they get into the workplace and they're working for me or working for you, and we tell them no, or that they didn't win just because they showed up, or fill in the blank. And so what would your advice be to parents out there for, preparing their children for the workplace? Give
them every opportunity they can to learn how to establish the work ethic and the drive that it takes to earn something, right? And how to contribute to a team. So that's one requirement for my kids. They have to play a team sport, no questions asked. Doesn't matter if it's badminton, if that's even a team sport, or if it's football, baseball. It doesn't matter to me. But that's such a pillar of who I am as a man, husband, and father. Like that, you have to understand what it takes to be a part of a team and contribute, and or lead a team as you ascend through that leadership process, right? So give them every opportunity they can, encourage them, but also hold them accountable. Yeah. That's one thing that I hold as priority number one, is creating the mental structure with children where you're coaching and progressing them for the next level, not currently where they're at, right? And putting that development piece in to where we have to be able to prepare them for the next level, which in 99% of the time is life, right? But we try to learn through sports about life.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think, one of the things that I kind of hang my hat on is performance matters.
Absolutely.
And we keep score.
Absolutely.
The idea of not keeping score and that everybody gets a trophy, that's really of the last 20 years, I think it is. And I think it's just watered it down, and people need to understand that there is a winner, there is a loser in a lot of things. And usually the one that wins is the one that has been through the most.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And and to that point, I think winning solves everything, right? Winning creates, structure, it creates this process of where they understand, hey, I contribute my portion or my role to the team. I'm able to play this position or do this or score these points or make these assists, or it's basketball season, so I'm trying to think basketball, right?
Sure.
I'm not the leading scorer, but I have the most assists. What does that mean? That means you're a great teammate, right? And so it contributes to that as, life is the ultimate test or ultimate journey, right? And I think it's our obligation to make sure that we teach these kids how to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, your most recent putting your toe into the entrepreneurial world. Yeah. So how did you get associated with FlyRoute? How did you come up and decide that was what you wanted to do? Obviously a big step to take, and you've already got some pretty good clients out there.
Yeah. So that's an interesting process because it's one of these. I got to explain a little journey too, where through my current role with DirecTV, and I'm looking. I'm responsible for business development and an ROI and all these sales productivity goals with all these partners of DirecTV. I realized real quick that I wasn't taking my own advice. I wasn't listening to myself. I'm this corporate sales leader, this guy that's teaching and developing all these entrepreneurs to be smarter when it comes to marketing, how they're utilizing all their sales tactics, things like that. And I wasn't taking my own advice. So I actually as I was looking and wanting to find this passion or purpose again, I was like, I need to get back engaged with my alma mater, my schools, and football specifically. That's kind of my love and passion, football. But so social media is a powerful tool, right? And I was on social media. There was a staffing head coach change at Wilson Central, my alma mater. So I owe a lot of my success in life to Wilson Central for sure, as a school and a program. But I saw that they were using drone technology, right, to process game film and practice and scrimmages and things like that. And it was beyond enticing and mesmerizing in my mind. My mind first went to the competitive advantage, right? How that provides value to coaches and athletes. And secondarily, it was more like, that's cool.
Yeah.
I don't, doesn't matter what you say, that's cool. And it's as sports technology has evolved and sports have evolved, that now there's a merge between drone aviation, right, or drone videography and sports. And it's so it was fascinating, and I just wanted to learn. Went to their social media accounts and followed them, and then I saw one day they post now accepting or expansion, I can't remember the verbiage, but they posted that they were looking for entrepreneur-minded, strong business leaders that wanted to partner and become a service provider in a different market. They're based out of Denver, Colorado. So I did that. 7 months later, approved, went through this interview, the process and the onboarding process and the validation process, and was fortunate enough to launch FlyRoute Nashville back in April.
Okay, so how's that going so far?
It's going great so far. I mean, I got to give a shout out to Colin and Michael, Colin, the founder of FlyRoute headquarters in Denver, and then obviously to Michael and the team, or Colin and Michael and the team. They're second to none, man. They've made this process so seamless and easy for me to be able to be co-aligned vision-wise and strategy-wise on how we want to execute on the business plan and how we want to scale. And it all boils down to client customer service, right? How do we provide the best videography, the best professional drone videography service in this small niche market, right? Basically, it's a small demographic of coaches and athletic directors that we're marketing to.
But for the most part, if I'm understanding this correctly, the market's not saturated.
No,
you're usually, if you're coming in sitting down with them, you're the first one that they're considering.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of like, I look back 30 years ago, maybe more than that. I don't remember when I started selling cell phones. I was selling cell phones to people that didn't have cell phones yet.
Yeah.
that was way easier than it is
Yeah.
today when everybody's already got one.
Right.
And so, I think you being first to market in that regard is pretty huge.
Yeah, and especially in this market too. And again, shout out to Colin and Michael from being able to acquire clients or express obtain a need in a different market, right, from Denver to Nashville. How's that connection? That's crazy, right? And then for someone like me to be able to see it and then obviously be accepted into their vision and partnership, right? But yeah, it's definitely FlyRoute is an industry leader, right? There's no other professional drone videography service out there that offers and markets what we do and executes like we do.
Yeah.
It's just plain and simple. There's a lot of drones that fly to film athletic events, but there's nothing like FlyRoute.
And so what makes FlyRoute so different?
So FlyRoute is different because we, from the base structure all the way up to the executive leadership teams, right? Everything is structuredized. It's compliant with FAA and the aviation, all the aviation rules and regulations. We're extremely 150% compliant with FAA regulations when it comes to where we fly, how we position the drones, our setup. All of our equipment is licensed and insured and registered with the FAA. So it's legitimately, the most. It's the only way that you're legally allowed to fly drones that, in a commercial capacity.
Sure.
There's a lot of different rabbit holes we could go down in that capacity. But for a commercial capacity where you're producing video for a service, you have to be, the pilots have to be FAA certified, right? Mm-hmm. So that's something where that prestige or that professional differentiation is key to being able to say, hey, we want to partner with your team. We want to provide drone videography service, but we're also too going to hire a commercial FAA Part 107 licensed drone pilot.
Yeah.
Right. And then we assign that pilot to the school, and the administrators and coaches decide how, quantity of films and events and games and things like that they're able to, that they want to use our service for.
And is it usually the athletic department that is funding that? Is it through alumni? Is it through sponsors? How does that usually work? What do you see as kind of the magic that happens?
99% of the conversations and decisions are either determined by the coaching staff, right? And within their allocated budget of their, they manage their yearly budget and their operational spend. Some structures are different, but majority of it is if head coach sees value and needs value, and that's a important aspect to their success, or kind of their multiverse of what they include into their strategy on how do we win, how do we create a program, and it's a cool tool to add, right? Mm-hmm. And so head coach is normally our targeted audience. Sometimes athletic directors too, when it comes to education, when it comes to elaborating on how and why FlyRoute's different, and then being able to create the best partnership as possible, and through transparency and obviously too, the education piece is a big part of what we do, because there's so much other operations, other drones and things like that in this market or in sports in general that do fly, and there's lots of people in the world that film their sports games, which is fine, right? It's just we're just a little bit different market to where there's lots of different intricacies that could happen.
Yeah, it's next level. It's
sure.
It's making sure that all the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed.
Correct.
To ensure safety and at the same time provide award-winning service.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Yep.
Man, that's awesome. So, along the way, whether we're talking about, your time in sports there at Wilson Central, whether we're talking about your time in college, or then Vanderbilt, or then back in Illinois, I mean, obviously you've popped around a bit, and that's just kind of the nature of the beast. But who would you say has been some of your top mentors along the way?
Top mentors would have to be a couple, really. There's my high school coach. Coach Dwayne Alexander was the first that was able to kind of establish a connection with me, mm-hmm. and be able to instill these values and principles of, like, to this day, I live by this. Is in high school we use the terminology reap what you sow. Mm-hmm. It's just the way it works, right? And especially in sports and in that environment, that's how I've lived my life, my entire life. I've also had, I was fortunate enough that Coach Alexander was able to come to Cumberland as well, so I played for him as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and so he's been the biggest mentor and, inspiration throughout my athletics life. throughout strength and conditioning and the collegiate experience, like I could name 3 or 4, but the majority of at that level, at the Division I level, almost every coach is an inspiration, right? Especially when you're green and you're new into the industry, and
there's a reason why they're there.
Absolutely, they're not just volunteers like me at baseball, right? They don't just run the sticks on Friday night, right? They're there for a reason, and they're obviously that Division I level NCAA professional. So taking little pieces of all of those guys and learning and truly being a sponge and a master of the game, right, in coaching and leadership. That's how I've determined a lot of things. And there's probably 4 or 5 different guys I can name, but that's on the athletic side. On tying everything together, the biggest inspiration for me and what I listen to the most and the most content that I consume would be a gentleman named Andy Frisella. You familiar with him?
I'm not.
No, he runs a podcast himself. He's actually the CEO of it's called First Form. It's a supplement company.
So I am familiar with First Form.
So First Form's his company. He also runs a bunch, I'm sure 5, 6, 7, 8, 25 other businesses, right? But his content relates to me because we have very similar energy. I think that, and also too, he's a pretty cutthroat, straight to the point guy. Like, hey, it is what it is. It's cut and dry. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, change the channel.
That's right.
And so I admire that. And so those are the guys that make impact for me every day.
Yeah. Well, and I think one of the things about, that mentality is it's kind of unapologetically true.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. None of us have time for the BS. And I think the older we get, the less tolerance we have for somebody wasting our time. So the fluff and all that, no, cut to the chase. What do you want? Is this a win-win? Like, my biggest thing is it's win-win or no deal.
Right.
Like, I don't want to work with somebody where it's a good deal for me and it's not a good deal for them, or vice versa.
Absolutely.
Like, this needs to be one of those things where our interaction is creating energy and is creating more opportunity because of our synergy. Mm-hmm. And I think when you operate in those spaces more than you don't, and I think later in life you kind of cut out the BS because we're not guaranteed any more days. Nope. We're not guaranteed the rest of today.
Absolutely.
So I'm not going to waste any time with somebody that's wasting my time.
Absolutely. And to that point, I think that's where, from a leadership perspective, we enhance our network or our circle or our multiverse. It's our obligation is to enhance the quality of lives of people that are either on our team as direct reports or our business partners or anyone that we come in contact with. And like you said, no BS policy is the best way to be.
Yeah. Well, even how we started this conversation, we were talking about how I was going to intro you, and we were just trying to decide between the word leader or the word executive.
Right.
And I really do see you as a leader because I think anybody can end up with a title as executive. You could be an executive at a company of one, right?
Yeah.
But if you're really going to hold on to that moniker of leader, that's earned.
Of course.
And it's not a position of power. It is through influence.
Right.
And to me, that's the most powerful thing we can be inside or outside of our homes is a leader.
Absolutely. And you're right. I mean, nail on the head is leaders lead by influencing others and providing that buy-in and that culture piece of people want to be included in that circle, right? Yeah. And that's kind of, I try to live my life that way.
Cool. Now, this is a question that we have not talked about, but it comes up in almost every episode, especially when it's couples or entrepreneurs, is how much would you say your success has been tied to the fact that you found the right spouse?
I mean, I think that it's absolutely imperative that we're finding the right spouse to support you, right? And creating life and creating a family is important to be able to have a solid foundation to build upon, right? Yeah. And I think, and I can't commend my spouse Kayla enough to be able to support me and my crazy ideas and my crazy, my high energy and high, mental capacity, we'll call it. And I never thought we'd be where we're at, and I'm fortunate that we are. And I can't. Yeah, that's 100%. We wouldn't be able to build anything without that foundation.
Well, I think we're both lucky in that regard because my wife will tell you I'm too much.
So will mine.
And mine is, Emily is just steady, and I think Kayla is very much the same for you.
Absolutely.
And it's that balance, right?
Yep. She's the cool, calm, and collected. I'm the highly motivated, move, go, ask questions later.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, and I don't know if you know Miles and Jill Reidelberger.
I do.
They're from Pleasant View, so they were on a few weeks ago, and Miles had an interesting take. He said, "I don't think it's the business." He goes, "I think it has led to my happiness in life, and the business success is really a byproduct of the fact that we're happy."
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think that, finding your own inner peace and finding things that you do, right, for work or in life to provide that fulfillment piece, right? That's another reason why this FlyRoute scenario was, hey, I want to do something that makes an impact, right? And I think that, to Miles' point, that's spot on, because you want to be able to find that fulfillment and find that peace in life, and what gives you fulfillment. Like for me, like most of us, it's building a legacy for your family, for the kids, for my wife, for my, change, their trajectory in life.
Sure.
That's my goal.
Inspire them to think something more is possible.
Yeah, and give them exposure to worlds that they've never seen, that I never saw until I've been able to do it myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
now, much like Emily and I, but you guys have been on a health journey over the last few years. I've seen y'all have trimmed down and looking way more fit and healthy. What does health look like for you guys?
Recently, health's been really important for me, as trying to continuously always develop my own mentality, right? And throughout corporate world and entrepreneurial world, and the struggle and mentality that it takes to get through those, and having resilience to get through those. I kind of neglected my health for a long time.
Same here.
I think some of us do, most of us do. So really just being able to get back consistent, starting slow, utilizing my friends and network to have accountability partners and go and create group threads where it's like, hey, you did this today, we did this today. Oh, well, you're late, this, stuff like that. So where that's the journey that we've been on recently, and we're trying to clean up the remainder of our lives, right, with diet and exercise, stuff like that. So I would say, though, what's kept Kayla and I both in shape the way we are is youth sports and moving. We don't sit still for more than probably 2 hours a day, really, and that's probably at 9 to 11 p.m. for the most part. So it's go, go, go all the time.
That's cool. Well, you can tell it's paying off. And
for sure.
I look at it like we're investing in living longer.
Yeah, and I too, though, and to that point is I have to as I'm investing in myself as, on an entrepreneurial base and, professionally, I have to invest in my health again to be the best example, because I let myself go there a while back, right? And then now that Levi's getting old enough to where he's like, oh, well, I got to see Dad do it before he wants to do it. And the same with Paisley, right? And I got to be a better example. So that's where I've been, and we've made some tremendous strides recently, so I'm pretty excited. Yeah.
No, and I do think it's one of those things we have to lead. We can't just choose to tell them what to do. We have to lead them.
Absolutely.
And, I had gotten up to 305 and was miserable. And, right before my 40th birthday, just had this rude awakening. And it really kind of culminated. There was a couple things that went back to back, but the last thing that hit within a couple hours, 3 things hit. And the last thing that hit was literally the Facebook notification popped up for the most liked picture of that year. And it was Castle eating a donut. And I was like, oh, my God, I'm leading my team in the wrong direction. I'm leading my family in the wrong direction. I've got to fix this.
Yeah.
And, knock on wood, that was 90 pounds ago.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a process for the rest of my life. But,
it's a journey, though. And that's why you're a leader to your family, to your son, to your wife, to your whole family, right? And especially in business as well. And that's just something that leaders surround themselves with leaders, right? And you figure out a way to create a network that enhances your life, right? And contributes positively to your growth and development. And, and to your point, my wake up moment was during baseball practice. I can't run a base or run the whole bases without dying physically. So you can't demonstrate drills and you can't help teach if kids can't watch you, right? Like we used to say this thing back in college, right? You can't trust a fat strength coach.
Ain't that the truth? I mean,
just
can't take advice from him either.
You can't.
Because you can't trust it.
You can't. And that's why you got to lead by example. And that's kind of mentality-wise why you have to, adopt that and let that be your standard.
Mm-hmm. Well, I love it, man. I'm cheering you guys on. It's fantastic to see. Now, so you jumped in the corporate world. You kind of started as an installer at AT&T, worked your way up. So when you left there, what were you doing at AT&T?
Well, it's an interesting story because AT&T back in 2014 actually acquired DirecTV.
Okay,
Right, back
I do
a
remember
long
that.
time ago. And then as a technician, as a installation tech, I did copper, fiber, and then satellite, right? Because then they were traditionally a satellite company then, right? So yeah, from tech to kind of door to door, account manager type, field account manager. So that's a whole, we could talk about that for an hour. But then into leadership, right? Because like you said, crushing sales goals, getting all these cool fancy awards and things like that. It's all great, right? But what matters is them. What matters is the family. That's cool. And from there, I actually was fortunate enough to launch, and this, I'm getting to the point, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good.
The AT&T business units at the time, not necessarily saw the success of that channel, but I was a marketable individual to go launch this other channel with, not me specifically, but the business unit made a decision to launch this type of sales acquisition team, right? And so then I transitioned from residential leadership, right, running a team of 12, to then basically being an individual contributor again and selling and managing what I sell. So like a B2B role, right?
Sure.
But more of account executive to where you manage this book of business, but then you also sell and acquire other B2B opportunities.
Okay.
So it was kind of cool.
Cool.
Which takes a little bit different skill set too, right? Because it's not just door knocking, creating connection, finding value. It's more of business, right? So you have to be able to relate to the business, find how and why your solution provides more value.
Yeah, it goes back to being adaptable.
Absolutely.
Which I think, again, by and large, most of success is your ability to adapt and your speed to adapt.
Couldn't agree more.
You know, so with FlyRoute, where do you see it going?
It's going. It's sky's the limit, really. You know, it's one of those things where it's all ROI, right? How much energy and effort can I put into it, right? Me as a one singular guy, right? Fortunately, I do have the support of our, headquarter partners, right? Colin and Michael, they're, again, amazing guys. But, I want to scale. I want to scale as much as the Denver location is. My goal in my mind is 40. I need to find 40 clients in the next 2 years.
Okay.
The next 18 months, 24 months, we'll call it.
Okay, right. So what do you, let's just say we put this message out there. Yeah. What's your message to a coach or to an athletic director? Like, why do they need FlyRoute? Why are you the guy for the job?
FlyRoute's the guy. FlyRoute is the business partner for the job because we provide turnkey solution, right? We take all of the responsibility, right, off of the an assigned videographer, right? So a coach or a kid or a student athlete or your son filming from the end zone, right? And we all integrate all of that into all of their databases, right? To where they upload film and they watch film and they use it to create competitive advantages, teach better, coach better, and win, right? FlyRoute's mantra is take flight, win more, right? The aerial advantage. So it's pretty cool.
Oh, say that again. I love that.
Take flight, win more, the aerial advantage.
Man, I love that.
It's pretty cool.
So I understand what you do and how you do it. In my head, like the face of the company would be like Peyton Manning. Like when I think of what you guys do, and I'm not saying he's associated with it or anything like that, but I think of how much time he spent with game film and how critical he knew it was to his success and knowing what the competition was going to do before they even called the play. To me, that it just lines up. Like, I mean, Peyton, if you're out there, I think you need to hit these guys up.
Absolutely, Peyton. We'll take it all. To that point, though, think about how great these great athletes could be if they had this technology during their college careers, professional careers, right? Like, NFL and college uses cameras on cables to get that from a broadcasting perspective. To my knowledge, they don't record and upload to teams. Maybe they do. It's out of my purview right now,
sure.
Right? But from a high school perspective and in a youth sports perspective, man, it literally helps enhance, I don't even know how to it literally gives the coach the best advantage physically possible to be able to know and understand offense, defense, cadences and tendencies and spacing and techniques and things like that. And then the players as well to respond and change and adapt and develop to win more, right? To be more more productive team and be able to then obviously drive community engagement, right? School booster, quarterback club engagement, right? And then provide for the program.
Yeah.
And the second coolest part about FlyRoute is think about athletes and recruiting tape. Think about that, right? So
Your highlight reel.
exactly, and your highlight reel is filmed by a drone, not on the top of a press box.
Yeah.
Right, so you can even highlight, and you can have a better view of your talents and of those highlights from a drone view.
I love it. So what's your next step? I mean, obviously you got your goal is to get to 40 accounts before the end of next year. Like what's the next step? What are you doing?
Next step right now is we're moving into the off season. We'll get 2 weeks left of Tennessee playoffs, right? So we don't have any clients in the playoffs anymore, right? We had two of our full clients made the playoffs this year. So we're wrapping up end of year kind of administrative tasks, right? But then the marketing and recruitment process starts. Annual clinics, networking events, things like that where we can get out in front of all these coaches and administrators and find ways to network to increase brand awareness, but also to, change the kind of the narrative of who FlyRoute is and how FlyRoute is valuable to their program.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, man.
For sure.
I know giving back is a big deal for you. What does that look like for you?
From a personal perspective, I try to give back is I try to like I said, reap what you sow, right? You pay it forward, right? I have this mentality that I live by and try to teach our kids by, but this kind of forever forward, this keep the press, right? Keep pressing, keep pressing, keep pressing, keep pushing, and being able to help inspire and engage with other either kids, parents, dads, me, you, all of us, right? Inspire others to be the best versions of themselves, right? So I try to give back every chance I can. When it comes to obviously volunteering time to youth sports and trying to invest in the community awareness and community growth, that's big for me. But from a FlyRoute perspective, we are launching, or we have internships available for either any student or STEM students or any programs that are affiliated with any division school or anything like that, that they need resources and exposure into the drone videography world.
Yeah. I mean, inspiring somebody that maybe that's what they want to do with their life.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of interest in it. And there's specific programs all across the country that specifically MTSU has an amazing aviation program, UAS programs, to where these, professional or, college students now can, and most universities, most schools, even down to high schools now, drones are included in this, like the STEM programs, right? So it's something that we want to give back tremendously to help give more exposure to drones for athletics.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I think of, maybe like 10, 15 years ago as drones were first kind of coming on the scene, the idea of somebody earning a living with drones was so far-fetched. And then here we are. And it's not just one space. Like there's all kinds of spaces for people to earn a living with drones.
It's insane. Athletics is just one small niche market, or it's a large population market, right? But it's it's just one vertical, right? Of drone service, right? Or how you use drones, how you use technology to be able to enhance your business.
I love it. So we talked a little bit about the family. We talked a little bit about the fact that we've both been very fortunate in our spouse selection, and that all those things worked out. But how do you manage your real corporate job and then this very real entrepreneurial venture and family? How do you make it work?
It's difficult, I'll tell you that, and it's an ever evolving process with weekly schedules changing. Specifically for a corporate world, right? I don't have a set schedule. I manage the business accordingly. I make my own schedule, travel schedule. I normally travel 2 to 3 weeks a month, right? So Tuesday through Thursday, I'm gone. So to answer the question, I try to use my time as efficiently as possible, right? So I prioritize mission number one, provide here, finish this mission, complete it, utilize my time here. Mission number two, right? Grow an entrepreneurial business in the off time, right? Or time that's not non-allocated time towards here. And then I try to be as engaged as possible. And shout out to Kayla for teaching me throughout our life of I need to enjoy the moment more. I need to be more engaged with, hey, this is happening now. Don't worry about mission one and mission two here. Be here now. Right?
Yeah, I think just by and large with our personality types, we're always trying to stack things up to get to the next thing. And so sometimes we forget about what's happening in the moment. And thank goodness we have spouses that are grounded and could go, hey, it's right here.
Yeah. That's why it's a partnership. It's a marriage, right?
It is.
We can't do it all. So, and we provide that to them too sometimes, I think, when they need it. So No, but I couldn't do it without her. So.
No, same here. It's we're both incredibly lucky in that regard. We also have great kids.
Yes, that's true.
And so, Levi, I asked y'all to come up with a question for Dad today.
Uh-oh. We're in trouble now, guys.
So what kind of question did you come up with?
My question was, what was your lifestyle like when you were a youth athlete?
What was my lifestyle like when I was a youth athlete? Well, let's rewind, 20 years? Wait, no.
Like 30?
No, man. 30 years, right? You talking about when I was a kid? Like, give me an age.
13.
13. Middle school. Football. What was my lifestyle?
Like, what did you do?
What did I do? I eat, sleep, and live football. I went to school. I did my job in school. Shout out student athletes. Student first, athlete next, right? You ain't got A's in the classroom. You ain't playing on the field, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So, no, I mean, back in the day, Levi, I mean, school was different. Middle school was different. Middle school was huge. It was a big, crazy world, and you kind of get in where you fit in, right? And a lot of us fit in with sports, and we tried to, play sports, and it's a whole different world. I wish I could explain it. I had more time, but I literally rode the bus to school, went to football practice, and parents picked me up after practice.
And that was it. All right. Little Miss, what do you have? What are you asking Dad?
How do you, when me and my friend named Ryan, will you still be with the 5 and 4-year-olds?
So is Dad going to be coaching you? Or is he going to go up with you, or is he going to stay back and coach the younger ones?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
Okay.
All right. So you ready, Pace?
Yes.
I will stay engaged and coach as long as you want me to. Until you don't want me to coach anymore, I won't.
Okay.
Is that okay with you?
Yes.
All right.
Now I have another question.
Good.
All right.
Told you we were in trouble.
Why do you always be mean?
Why do I always be mean? I'm never mean. I don't know what you're talking
That's a
about.
good question.
No. Like I told Mr. Jim, I try to teach you guys and teach you how to be strong-minded, strong-willed, and be accountable for your actions, right? So as a dad, it's hard. Sometimes it's perceived as mean, but in the long run, Pace, you'll appreciate it, I promise.
We just call that love.
Yeah.
Okay. My third question is, why do we like Vanderbilt so much?
Ooh,
That's
that's a good one.
That's a good question. Hey, Paisley, shout out to Vanderbilt Sox right here, right? So this might be educational for you, Paisley, but my grandfather, my grandmother, and my mother all went to school at Vanderbilt
Oh, wow.
and worked at Vanderbilt.
Okay.
So growing up, we went to Vanderbilt football games. My mom's been there. My mom and dad both worked for their employer here in Nashville market for almost 40 years, since 1983. So just grew up. My mom's been employed by the hospital her whole life, basically, her whole professional adult life. And it was just an opportunity to go in an inexpensive manner back in the day. And it's just kind of been, you always got to root for the home team. And
I love it.
I've always been an underdog, with Tennessee fans being in kind of everywhere in Nashville, and a lot of my friends as well. But, you got personal ties to the university, man. You got to root for them. So go Doors.
That's good stuff. That is absolutely fantastic. Now, so this is where we have a little bit of fun with the podcast. And so this one is a little controversial. Nothing too crazy. We're not trying to get anybody canceled. But what is something, because this segment is things we think but do not say.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it's something, and maybe it's a truth out there that people just need to hear that a lot of people just don't have the spine to say.
I got like 17 filters going on right now.
Oh, I know. So I'll give you one of mine. So
Yeah, let's do that.
kind of like we talked about before, is performance matters. We've watered this down. We've done a disservice to so many youth that are now adults.
Right.
That it was more about just being on the field than it was about what actually happened, or the ethics, or the effort that you put forward. and then keeping score, because there was a winner and there was a loser. Another one for me is, I get disdain for this phrase of toxic masculinity. The reality is, without masculinity, a lot of things just would not happen. And so it's something we have to have out there.
Right.
Now, a lot of men have been watered down,
Right.
And shame on us for letting that happen.
Right.
But we can choose every single day to stand up and do the right thing.
I mean, I'm struggling because I got so many things I want to say, but I just got to filter it the right way. I think that when it comes to, let's tie it into life, right, and the grit it takes, the resilience it takes to prevail in life, right? I think that what most don't want to hear is that accountability matters, right? Taking responsibility for your future and what you do now, right, matters. And I think that people don't want, it's always somebody else's fault, right? The blame game, right? You always pass the buck, or, oh, it can never be my fault, right? So I think that most people don't want to hear, like, you control you, right? And you take accountability for your actions and what you do and how you behave and how you act.
Yeah.
And in all aspects of our life, when it comes to us as adults and kids and anywhere, people don't want to take accountability anymore for what they say or what they do or how they act.
Yeah. Well, and I think one of the things that some parents out there need to hear too is, you've got these parents that are, what do they call them, the lawnmower parents, where they're like clearing the path for the kids so that they never see adversity.
Right.
And one, you're stealing from your child because they don't know what they can do.
Right.
And then two, we're also teaching them that's the parent's role. And the reality is, like, yes, we set the tone. We're supposed to be here for building the foundation for our children. But then it's up to them to go out into the world and make it their own.
Couldn't agree more. Never heard that analogy, right? But I always, too, want to make sure that I enable my children, our kids, right? And other kids as well. I want to enable them with enough resources to be successful, but I'll never give it to them.
Yeah.
I want to provide as much as possible, right? Equipment-wise, opportunity-wise, camp-wise, whatever, as long as they're appreciative and they understand it. And then it's up to them. They have to figure out how to relate to, hey, I want to get better. I need to get better. I want to continuously to charge forward.
Yeah, there you go. I like what you did there.
See that?
You know Jason Walford, don't you?
I don't think so.
No. So Jason's in Cheatham County, and I will say he gave me he didn't know he was giving me fatherly advice, but we were talking. His son is Mitch is 18 now, and he's out in the world and all those good things. But he was about 14, maybe 13 years old, and he was racing razors.
Okay.
And he was beating adults.
Okay.
Legit. And I made a joke about, letting Mitch win one because Jason always came in first, Mitch came in second.
Right.
And he got real serious and he said, I will never let him win. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, no, I need you to understand. For me to let him win, that would mean that I would slow down. So that's teaching him the wrong thing to do. And 2, he's not going to respect his win. 3, somebody's going to pass us both and we both lose. And he goes, then what did I teach my son but how to lose?
Exactly.
And I was like, wow.
That's a powerful, powerful statement.
I was not expecting that. Now, another fun one that we have is, so imagine we're putting on a celebrity bowling match.
Okay.
I'm a bowler.
Yeah, I do.
And so you can pick 4 people to bowl with you. It doesn't matter if they're living, if they're not, if they're a celebrity, or if they're somebody you know. But the whole point of this is to get the coolest group of people together to raise the most money for charity. Who's on your team?
4, including me?
Yes, sir. Well, 4 plus you.
4, so a team of 5,
Yep.
right? I got to include you, right? Is that
Okay, hey, I'll be there.
Right,
yeah.
Because we need some points, right? We got to win. Man, I mean, kind of got to go with the greatest, right? I guess. I played linebacker in college after a while, so I got to have Ray Lewis.
Okay. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
my guy. I got to have oh, man. I just think of something. I got to have Lawrence Taylor. He's the life of the party back in the day.
Yep.
Linebacker theme, right? And then I guess we got to have, for some new age, Riz, we'll call it, right, from Levi's term. We'll put Tyreek Hill on there.
Okay.
He's speed, right? He's got speed. We got consistency with points, speed, and we got tenacity and grit. So I think that's 3, right? And
That's 4.
oh, it's 4. Oh, my bad. Okay. Man, I think I just picked all athletes, right?
Yeah, but that's, hey, you can't go wrong there. Well, you know, some athletes are bowlers that you don't really realize. You know, like Mookie Betts.
Yeah.
He'd
be a great one.
He's a big time bowler.
Well, let's put him on the team.
In fact, owns bowling centers. I mean, he's neck deep in it.
I like it.
Plus, he's got some new hardware on his hand these days.
He does.
That's right. And then who would commentate? Who would be the announcer that really get this thing some riz?
I'm a big dodgeball guy.
Okay.
Like the movie Dodgeball.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's got to be Jason Bateman
Jason Bateman. There you go.
in Dodgeball.
That's right.
Not now.
Best book you ever read?
Ooh.
Best book, man. Twofold answer. One would be Emotional Intelligence. That's my key. That's kind of another founding pillar of how and why I'm sitting in this chair. And then two would be Atomic Habits. I recently read that about a year ago, and the methodology of 1% growth every day, that really kind of that compounded interest type methodology, right? That really helps me, and that's also to try to instill that fact or that process into the kids.
Yeah,
as
that's
well.
huge.
So,
How do you want to be remembered?
I want to be a great father, great dad, successful family trajectory changer. We'll call it. That's not the right term,
Yeah,
but
hey.
you know.
We got a new terminology.
Yeah, I know. It's just off the top of my head, but no, I want to be able. You know, that's kind of it, really. I mean, successful business owner. I want to launch and expand into multiple different verticals and different businesses and create a legacy for my family. So legacy builder, we'll call it.
That's a strong word. I like it
for sure.
Well, Chris, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me today. Thanks for bringing Levi and Miss Paisley. Thanks for playing along. All right. And do you have an ask, or do you have a closing thought for our watchers out there?
Absolutely. Anybody, my ask or challenge would be to any listeners to bet on yourself, and always make sure that you bet on yourself, you trust yourself, and you have the courage to be yourself in any role that you're in.
I love it. Thanks, man. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Thanks for the time.
All right, team, you heard it here on the Charge Forward podcast. Be looking for many great things out there. And if you are an athletic director or you know somebody who is, put a bug in their ear about FlyRoute Nashville. They're bringing some cutting-edge data and videography to sports here in Middle Tennessee and beyond. Thanks so much. Until next time, I'm Jim Cripps with the Charge Forward podcast. We'll see you later. Hey team, Jim Cripps here with the Charge Forward podcast. I just wanted to tell you thank you. It is the holiday season, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate everyone in my life, even those that I've never met. They're out there listening to this podcast. I've been so fortunate to have amazing people come in here in the studio with me and share their life story. And then all the people that are in my life that got me to this point. You know who you are, and I just wanted to tell you thank you. My life has been incredible. It's not that there haven't been lows, and it's not like there haven't been highs, but the reality is my life has been improved and shaped and molded by so many people. That's why I tell people all the time, I do not agree with anybody saying that they are an island or they're self-made, because so many people, both good and bad, help us shape the life that we lead. So please take a few extra moments and just appreciate and be grateful for all the wonderful people that make up your world. And just know that I am thankful for each and every one of you. From everybody here at the Charge Forward podcast and Hit Lab Studios, I just want to say thank you, happy holidays, and enjoy your family. We'll see you later.